I said his name weeks ago. People push back. Now more and more people are coming around to, hey, maybe Eli Drinkwitz is gaining steam to be Auburn's next head coach.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. We're dapping up with the Dapprich Montgomery radio legend hanging out with us. Auburn basketball takes on Jackson State this evening, which Jackson is not a state, as well as the quarterback situation entering this weekend. DJ Durkin kind of helped earlier in the week. What should Auburn do there? But Darrell, I mean, you reached out last night kind of saying, hey, I'm hearing more and more about this. You're starting to see more of it in message boards and the like. Eli Drinkwitz is a name that I threw out there pretty early on. In fact, you and I ranked who we wanted a few weeks ago, and I think I had him 2, and I don't think you had him on your list, and we kind of went back and forth on why. And first, before we jump into like if it's good or not, do you think there is some fire with this? Because there definitely does seem to be a little bit of smoke when it comes to Auburn and Eli Drinkwitz.
I do. I think, and it's forced me to reconsider my position and stance on it, because I do believe it's a viable option. So when things get real, you have a tendency to reassess them. And, here we are right now, continuing our magical mystery tour of potential candidates. And look, Auburn's not in a playoff, fighting for a playoff spot or the conference title or maybe even a bowl game. This is the biggest story right now in Auburn football, is this coaching search. And so, we just consider this like a video hot board. And so Eli Drinkwitz came up, and I was very, very vocal about my dislike for him.
Yes.
And
you in fact kind of paused and said, look, some of this might be personal. I just personally am not a fan of the guy.
So I always feel like it's a good thing to just sometimes not just say statements like that without having kind of a perspective or perception of it. So look, I mentioned him standing on the cement post and acting like a high schooler, and that bothered me. I don't like what he did with Josh Heupel when he shook hands and said, we're standing on business. That's Bush League to me. The other thing is his press conferences a lot of times become like carnival shows where he makes it all about him. But I'm going to give a little insight that I got your permission before we hit record to tell a little story that's the biggest indicator to me, that bothers me the most. And I think it provides backdrop and background. And then why I've come around, though, a little bit on something. You and I were at the Senior Bowl, like we go every year, to follow Auburn athletes. And we were in the third row, and there's a brick wall that separates the stands and the field. Eli Drinkwitz was sitting in the first row, not on the field. Mm-hmm. He's there to watch his players like a lot of other coaches do. Yeah. Earlier in the day, I had seen a family to the left of me that were huge Missouri fans that I don't know how far they traveled, but mentioned the word, and they traveled to come watch Missouri and to meet Eli Drinkwitz. They walked over to him to take a picture with him, and he completely blew them off. I'm not saying other coaches don't do that. I don't know, but it rubbed me the wrong way with the way he kind of just brushed them aside. So that's a backdrop or a background as to why I may feel like I've got a personal issue with him. There's numerous reasons. That being said, if he is the best fit or the best choice for Auburn and can help Auburn win football games, I have decided that that's something I just need to put aside. Who cares about his level of, how he acts and how he rubs you the wrong way and that kind of thing? Because at the end of the day, Zach, there are a lot of coaches that come across as being jerks, and they're successful. Kirby Smart, Lane Kiffin, Nick Saban, they're out there. And if they win and they help your football team win, then I don't think that's as big of a deal as I did maybe 2 weeks ago. And I think there's some things that he's checking some boxes. I mean, look at Missouri's record the last 3 years. It's hard to win there. some of the recruiting classes that he's pulled, or some of the players he's got there, is very difficult to get at Missouri. He has coached at Appalachian State. Anytime you can pull a coach from a Power 4 conference that's won 11 and 10 games in your own conference,
correct.
I hate to say it, and I say this reluctantly and begrudgingly, it's worth looking at.
I mean, what did we talk about on Friday's show? I think it was Friday's show, Darrell, where I said, obviously plan A is to look around and get somebody who's won in the P4. And then when you can't do that, you look and say, okay, who's done it at a smaller program that you think those traits could transition to Auburn with more support, more money, all of that. Eli's a little bit of both of those. Like, Auburn has more to offer as far as support goes than Missouri does, but he's still like winning in the SEC. And I do think that is some of it. Now, let's address the biggest pushback as far as on the field stuff. You touched on some of the off the field stuff, which is worth noting. But the on the field stuff is he can't beat teams that finish in the SEC with a winning record.
That's a problem.
That is a problem. And so then the question becomes, is that him? Or is that Missouri? Or is it some combination of both? And that's the thing where if John Cohen wants to go this direction, which we've both heard that John Cohen and Eli Drinkwitz have had discussions, that's something that John Cohen's going to have to figure out. But he's going to have to figure that out, whether it's John Sumrall. He's going to have to figure it out, whether it's Eli Drinkwitz. It goes back to the, okay, like, unless you can get somebody who's won championships at the P4 level, you're going to have to take that risk, bet, gamble on someone. And does it make more sense for it to be Eli Drinkwitz versus somebody else? You can make the argument for and against all of these candidates that we've been talking about for the last month.
If the argument to disqualify James Franklin was he can't win the big game, you have to be consistent and say those same flaws are hanging over Eli Drinkwitz.
Unless it goes back to what you have access to.
But what I was going to say was, I think it's a lot easier to win those games at Penn State than it is Missouri.
I agree.
So first of all, the conference you're playing in, I like the Big Ten. It's a good conference, but top to bottom,
it's the second best conference in college football. Yeah.
Penn State has absolute unlimited resources in recruiting in and around its 3-state area, right? So there was a lot of different things that Franklin had access to that Eli Drinkwitz did not. The interesting part to me is, there are some things that jump out at you, like he coached at Auburn under Gus Malzahn and under Gene Chizik. I think
you care about that?
No, I don't
either.
I'm saying that, like, some people do, and I don't care at all. I mean,
if you do care, it does check a box.
It does. I'm tired of coaches coming from Arkansas State. He was an assistant at Arkansas State, was a heck of a coach at Appalachian State, who's had some good coaches, Satterfield, some other guys that moved on. Power 4 coach in the best conference in America, has won 11 and 10 games the last 2 years respectively, beat Ohio State in a bowl game, took Missouri to heights that no coach has.
Correct.
Even when they were going to when Pinkel had them in the back-to-back SEC East, that's because it was divisional play and the East was weak then.
Tennessee and Florida were down.
Yeah. And Georgia was down.
True.
Then. So I think that, and again, he will have more resources and more access to things at Auburn than he did at Missouri that'll be similar to what Penn State has. So I would be willing to say, look, maybe Auburn does need a jerk as a head coach sometimes to push back on stuff. Maybe there is a certain aspect of Auburn getting walked all over all the time and being the butt of jokes that somebody could push back a little bit, that speaks their mind and just didn't take it. Like if Lane Kiffin started tweeting about Auburn when Eli Drinkwitz was the coach, it'd be different. It would look different. Trust me.
Maybe he punches back.
He punches back.
Wouldn't that be nice?
SEC media days, right, at the presser, he'd punch back. There would be none of this. I'll just take it, be the bigger person, that kind of thing.
And that's a perspective thing, right? Like, it's annoying and we kind of like roll our eyes at it now, but if he told somebody else that we just beat that he stands on business, we would love that. We would eat that up.
It would. I would want to know the history first. Like if it was just a coach that never said anything and kept his mouth shut.
Twitter though, if he were to do that,
like if it was somebody that ran that mouth and it came back, like, people kept receipts and like, let's say it was Vanderbilt, right? And after what happened with Clark Lee the last 2 years, and Drinkwitz next year is Auburn's coach, and they beat Vanderbilt in Jordan Hare, and he goes,
he was like, "Yeah, we stand on
Clark,
business.
we stand on business." Yeah, or God forbid Pavia gets his 9th year and he walks over to Pavia and says it. We would love that. But just some nameless, if some coach didn't say anything, it was just, and you bring that. There had to be a history there. Maybe I don't know the whole backstory, so there had to be. I don't think he just says that out of the blue. But there are some interesting things. He said something to somebody else once in a post-game handshake too that people can Google that I can't remember, where he literally called him out and went after him. People seem to forget the most infamous one is the most unlikely one. When Dennis Franchione got in Nick Saban's grill years ago when Saban was at LSU and Franchione was at Alabama. That blows my mind that ever happened. And in the post-game handshake, he said something to him. So I get it. We like it if it's our end. If we like him if he's our jerk. But again, I still expect a certain level of decorum to be Auburn's head football coach. And there are certain things you don't need to do just for the sake of drawing attention to yourself.
You're right. So Eli Drinkwitz does seem like there's some chatter there. How much of it is legitimate? How much of it is just him exploring his options? We'll see in due time. But I've said early on that I think it would make sense. Darrell's coming around to it. Are you coming around to it? Let us know in the comments or let us know on socials at DAP6410 or at Z Blackerby on socials. The quarterback situation, I think it's a no-brainer. Darrell, I've said that really since last week. I think you agree. We jump into that in just a moment. Why it's got to be Deuce Knight next. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. But today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. And Darrell, FanDuel, still no line for Auburn taking on Mercer. But we do have an Iron Bowl line. An early Iron Bowl line, 5.5 points.
Wow.
Just 5.5 points.
I thought it'd be double digits.
I think so too. I thought so too. I think I actually would have guessed like 8 or 9.5, but still 5 under a touchdown. Under a touchdown. You can go ahead and get in on the action there with FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Alumni Hall. We love talking about our friends at Alumni Hall. You can go online at alumnihall.com or 3 great physical locations in Auburn, Opelika, and Huntsville. Darrell, they've got everything. Hats, polos, the quarter zips, the pullovers. It doesn't matter if it's for you, the woman in your life, your children, babies, animals, stuff for your walls. They've got everything. Darrell Dapprich.
Well, I am taking my 2 daughters to the Iron. Obviously, I'll be there covering the game.
Sure.
For Locked On Auburn. I got tickets for my daughters to go to the game as part of a Christmas present, and I think we're going to go over there earlier than most and do a little shopping in Alumni Hall.
Yeah, I hope you do. I hope you do. In town, you've obviously got 2 great options at Opelika and at Auburn, for sure. And once again, online at alumnihall.com. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. The quarterback situation, DJ Durkin gave us a little bit of some answers as far as, okay, Ashton's not playing. Good. That's the best thing for Ashton. That's the best thing for Auburn. Makes sense. Glad they made that decision. I think starting Deuce Knight should be just as easy of a decision, Darrell Dapprich.
I agree. I think you always have Arnold in your back pocket if things don't go well. If you start Deuce, it's and I get it. You don't want to destroy the kid's confidence, but you let him start and see what he can do. And then if you get into the second half and you've got to have Jackson Arnold to beat Mercer, but my God, if that happens, then you can
give it to Jeremiah Cobb over and over again. Like
Jeremiah Cobb's 96 yards away from 1,000.
Get him there. Get him there on Saturday.
So I would be shocked if he didn't start, if Deuce didn't start. I really love the way, in the press conference, he talked about he was going to play both. And then when the question came around to our good friend Mike G, he tried to get a little something by saying, so when Deuce starts, and he's like, no, I didn't say that. But I think that's because the perception or the assumption
there's
by
some
everybody
intel out there heavily implied.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, I don't know why you just don't go ahead and name him. It's Mercer. And if you're trying to play game, it didn't work against Kentucky with waiting to name a starter and not know who it is. So I would hope that even though it's not released to the media or the public, that the actual quarterback that's starting does know.
Yeah. Or, is Durkin trying to see how Deuce responds to like him being involved in a competition? Because that didn't really happen. Like it was pretty clear cut that he was going to be the 3. They started giving Ashton reps above him fairly early on in the process. So how much of it is that? They're just trying to coach him, which is great. I don't know. I
would caution people to not overreact either way in this game. If Deuce Knight comes out and absolutely sets the world on fire, we're chill. If he doesn't, if he struggles a little bit, like I felt like he did against Ball State, no need to react that way. This is not a barometer, in my opinion, for what kind of quarterback he could be at Auburn.
If he's out there with the starters and he doesn't play well, you don't think that that's telling?
Not for next year.
Okay.
Because a lot can happen in an offseason. Think about a new staff, a new offensive coordinator. What'll that look like? There are guys out there, and that make quarterbacks better. And there are guys that seem to be on the sidelines wearing orange and blue that seems to make quarterbacks worse. And I am ready to get one that's a quarterback whisperer that makes them better.
Yeah, that'd be really fun. Be really fun to have a modern offensive mind on the sideline.
Aren't you tired of quarterbacks going somewhere else and flourishing? I will say this. We don't know because the totality of a season, but it looks like Ashton Daniels at least didn't regress. Right? I mean, he was at Stanford and he put up decent numbers, but what he did last Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, was better and bigger than anything here.
Dude, it's not even quarterbacks though. Like there are some guys that I'm just blown away. Like I kind of forget about them, and 2 years later they pop up. I was looking at mock drafts yesterday. Romello Heights supposedly going to be a first-round pick for
Cam Brown. Now he's playing at a different level. He's playing at a group of 5.
No, but a receiver who's doing really well right now that I forgot all about? Amari Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
He's got over 40 catches this year for Michigan State.
I'm surprised on the defensive side of the ball. It's rare that you see guys. Well, Keontae Scott. Big time.
Where is he?
Miami. Thorpe Award nominee.
Keontae's balling?
Yes. Big time for Miami.
That.
But he's playing the position he played at Auburn 2 years ago as opposed to outside corner.
Can we just agree I was right on that? Can we agree on that?
You absolutely were right on that, and I was wrong. And we'll just agree that I was right on Jeremiah Cobb and Ashton Daniels.
Easy. I'll give you that one. I don't think I pushed back too much on the Cobb one, but I did on Ashton for sure.
You were a little bit higher on Damari. You felt like Damari should be running back 1, and you felt like he was going to get a ball.
That is 100% correct. Yeah, the Damari stuff. I did not see coming for sure. 100% agree on that. Auburn takes on Jackson State tonight. What do we need to see? Meaningless game, yeah, sure, but there's still some things we need to take away. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. You mentioned, I hope I'm right on this. I hope I'm going the right direction on this. You mentioned getting tickets for your children to the Iron Bowl. Where did you get them, Darrell?
I did not get him at Game Time, but I would have. You know why I didn't? I got him from a friend who hooked me up. So, I mean,
got it.
Come on now. I mean, that's.
But if you didn't have the hookup,
if I did not have the hookup, it was Game Time. I went to Game Time before I was blessed with the tickets, right?
Yeah.
That's the only time you don't use them. But I have to be fair. I have to answer that question honestly.
That's fair. If you didn't have a friend with Iron Bowl tickets,
I already looked them up. That's the first place I went to. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the best deal. It's the best deal you can find unless you're getting them for free from a friend. So head over to the Game Time app. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets or college basketball tickets. There have been a surprising amount of empty seats through some of the non-conference. I'm sure there's still some seats available for the super late tip tonight against Jackson State. So
I
get
did buy
involved.
the Arizona. I bought the Arizona Auburn basketball ticket at game time. I had to buy one for a relative, and that's where I went. Yep.
Some redemption there. Absolutely. So once again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. What do we want to see from the Auburn basketball team against Jackson State tonight? I want to see very little Keyshawn Hall.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see more Tahad Pettiford.
Mm-hmm.
As far as being able to score, I want to see keep him shooting, let him shoot his way out of it. I don't care if he has an inefficient night against Jackson State. And Darrell, I'm saying this in all caps. I want more Emeka Oporum. I want him all over the place. Give him 25 minutes. I don't care. We need him to take that next step in the conference. We need Emeka.
Yeah, we probably should have discussed our list of keys and things we wanted
to
see.
Steal all of them, or I should have just said one.
You got all three of them.
My bad.
Mine was I want to see a blowout so that we can see a lot of players. I want to see no Keyshawn Hall at all. You said little. I want zero. And I want to see a lot.
I want him to go through warm-ups and just like start
Yeah.
and play the first few minutes and take him out after that. I'm fine, but the zero is totally okay.
And I want to see a ton of Emeka too, because you've got to get him just more playing time, more experience, more confidence. And then I'll add one caveat to this. I want to see Jovic finally be strong with the basketball and have a good game too.
Yeah. Can Steven challenge Jovic and say, look, like you're on the fringe of being able to help us or not? You're right on it. We need you. This is a team where you should be able to bully. Go do it, or we've got to reassess where you are in this pecking order and rotation.
Yeah, and I think I would limit Murphy's minutes too. I mean, he's not still 100% healthy. By the way, I've got some intel that Bashir's not 100% healthy. He's not been healthy since he's got here. So that's kind of a reason.
You know what it is?
Do not know what it is. It's just that Auburn's kind of got an unlucky break with Murphy and Bashir, two transfers that came to Auburn not completely healthy.
Well, you'd rather him deal with it now than a month or two from now.
I want to see the Walker kid, Simon Walker, get in the game. I don't know if he's ready to play yet. It may be after they get back from Vegas, but I'd love to see the shooting guard from Huntsville. This is the kind of game you could get in and get, 5 to 8 minutes. See, he's supposed to be a very, very good shooter. So, that'd be a nice another option to have off the bench, but we'll see.
Yeah. So when we got Emeka, my take on him throughout the offseason was like, I don't think this is an ad for this year's team. I think this is a future edition, and they see what happens this year. I think you need to rush that progress a little bit if you can. And like, I'm sure there's a reason he's played the amount that he has. Like Steven's not like keeping him on the bench just cause. But I don't think there's any downside to giving him minutes tonight and saying like, okay, cool, go prove it.
The only way you're going to get used to the physicality of the SEC is to get out on the floor and play physical, right? And I remember Auburn used to have a guy named Mamadou Njai, who was a very slight center that took him a little while to adjust to the physicality. And by the time he was a senior, he was one of the best centers in the country. So
let him get beat up.
Get the minutes, get muscled up on that kind of thing. And especially if you limit Murphy's minutes tonight, which I would do too. So you have
it makes sense
for Vegas.
Makes sense. Yeah. You're going to need all those guys for Vegas for sure. No, we're in agreement there. Yeah. I don't want this to be close. Go out and score, your first 10 points quickly, make them feel the pressure, make Jackson State feel the pressure. And then
can I have a prediction? I have a prediction.
Okay. Like a score prediction?
No, that I wouldn't even be able to try to get. I think it'll get into the 90s for Auburn. I have a sneaky suspicion.
Yes.
That Elijah Freeman's going off tonight.
Okay.
We'll see. Just a feeling.
Well, he went off 2 games ago.
Mm-hmm. It's his kind of game.
Athletically, he should be able to.
His kind of game. I watching some tape on Jackson State, they like to run. They don't. And so if that's the case, and turn it over, Auburn's going to get a lot of run out baskets, and that's his forte in the open floor.
Could you find Jackson, the state of Jackson, on a map?
Again, I can find a general, a vice president, and a president, and a city in obviously Mississippi, and then and then the world's greatest artist of all time, musical artist of all time.
But what is it not?
It's not a state.
Not a state. Darrell Dapprich, how can people check out everything you've got going on?
Follow me on X, Dap6410, Instagram, Facebook, all those socials. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, I'll be going live tonight after the basketball game. We'll do a live show from Neville. I'll jump on at halftime in the Barncast to watch along as well.
Please like the video. Please subscribe, and we will see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.